I'm James, and this is the story of my life with Laura. Our life together is comfortable and predictable, a testament to the stability we've built over the years. Laura and I have managed to develop a routine that works for both of us, even if our interests often lead us in different directions. Laura works in an office, and her days are filled with spreadsheets and meetings. She is a hard worker, and I admire her dedication to her work. However, her passion lies outside the office, in the world of home decor. Laura has an eye for design that transforms our home into a warm, inviting space. Her ability to create beautiful arrangements and find the perfect accents brings a touch of elegance to our everyday lives. I appreciate her talent and the effort she puts into making our home a place of comfort and style. As for me, I am a mechanic. I spend my days in the garage, surrounded by the smell of motor oil and the hum of engines. Working with cars is more than just a job for me. It's a passion. There is something incredibly satisfying about taking a broken car and bringing it back to life. My workshop is a haven where I can focus on the intricate details of mechanical work, and it's a part of my life I wouldn't trade for anything. Our interests are like parallel tracks, each pursuing its passions but walking side by side. While I find joy in the technical aspects of car repair, Laura finds hers in transforming our living space into something beautiful. These various hobbies sometimes lead to interesting conversations and occasional debates, but they also reflect the unique ways in which each of us finds satisfaction. Despite our differences, our love for each other remains the basis of our stable and peaceful life. Even despite our different interests, we manage to find a common language and maintain a strong bond. Our weekends can be spent working on my latest car project or helping Laura with a new home decor idea, and these moments together help bridge the gap between our passions. It is this mixture of individual aspirations and mutual respect that allowed us to build a common life, which, although simple, is rich in understanding and affection. Laura's passion for home decor is a vivid part of who she is. From the moment we moved into our house, it became clear that her heart was set on transforming our living space into something extraordinary. Her eyes light up at the sight of fabric swatches, paint samples, and decorative accents. Every corner of our home bears her touch, and her enthusiasm for creating a beautiful environment is infectious. Laura has always had an eye for detail. She can spend hours selecting the perfect shade of paint or arranging furniture to create just the right ambiance. I've watched as she meticulously planned each room, from choosing the ideal curtains to picking out throw pillows that complement the color scheme. She has an innate sense of style and a knack for combining textures and patterns in ways that I would never think of. What seems like a simple addition to me often turns into a carefully orchestrated design choice for her. Her passion extends beyond just the aesthetics. Laura takes joy in the process of redecorating, often embarking on DIY projects to enhance our home. Whether it's refurbishing an old piece of furniture or crafting personalized decorations, she approaches each task with a blend of creativity and precision. I've seen her meticulously sand down a weathered chair, paint it in a fresh color, and transform it into a statement piece that seems to bring new life to the room. While I have always admired Laura's dedication and the results she achieves, I must admit that her world of decor is one I don't fully grasp. My days are spent in the garage, surrounded by the mechanics of engines and the intricacies of automotive repair. To me, the thrill of diagnosing a mechanical problem and fixing it is the ultimate satisfaction. Laura's interest in decor, with its focus on aesthetics and design, is a world apart from my own. Yet despite our different passions, I understand how important her interests are to her, and I respect the dedication she brings to making our house a home. Laura's dedication to home decor reflects her desire to create a space that's not just functional, but also nurturing and beautiful. It's a passion that transforms the ordinary into something special, and while it may not be my area of expertise, it's an integral part of our shared life. Her enthusiasm for improving our home adds a layer of warmth and personality to our daily lives, and it's a testament to how we each find meaning in our unique pursuits. Laura was bubbling with excitement one evening when she mentioned an upcoming home decor exhibition. The news came as a pleasant surprise to me. She had been talking about this event for weeks, her enthusiasm growing with each passing day. The exhibition was set to showcase the work of some of the most renowned designers in the industry, and Laura was eager to see their creations up close. When Laura first brought it up, her eyes sparkled with anticipation. She described the exhibition in vivid detail, how it would feature the latest trends, innovative design concepts, and a plethora of styles that would inspire her. To her, this was not just an event, but an opportunity to immerse herself in the world she loved so much. "It's going to be incredible," she said, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. "I'll get to see how these designers think, their creative processes, and maybe even bring home some ideas for our own space." She also spoke about how this experience could be a stepping stone for her future ambitions. Laura had always dreamed of creating her showcase someday, a chance to present her ideas and designs to a broader audience. "If I get a good sense of what works and what doesn't at this exhibition, it could help me when I'm ready to start my own," she explained. Her excitement was palpable, and I couldn't help but feel a bit of her eagerness rub off on me. Laura's passion for home decor often extended into grand dreams and plans. This exhibition represented not just a visit to see beautiful things, but a chance to deepen her understanding of her craft and network with others who shared her passion. It was a stepping stone towards her aspirations in the field, and she hoped it would provide her with the inspiration and insights she needed to achieve her goals. Though my interests lay in a completely different realm, I could see how much this opportunity meant to Laura. Her dedication to her craft was evident in the way she spoke about the exhibition. It was clear that she saw this as a chance to enrich her knowledge, gain fresh perspectives, and ultimately get closer to realizing her dream of showcasing her work. I knew that supporting her in this endeavor was important, even if it meant stepping out of my comfort zone and showing enthusiasm for something that wasn't quite my passion. Despite my lack of personal interest in home decor, I recognized the importance of supporting Laura in her passion. The excitement she radiated about the upcoming exhibition was undeniable, and her enthusiasm was something I respected deeply. Even though the world of design and interior decoration was far removed from my interest in mechanics and cars, I understood how crucial this event was for her. Laura's anticipation for the exhibition was contagious. She talked about it incessantly, detailing every aspect from the designers who would be featured to the innovative techniques they would showcase. Her eyes sparkled with the kind of enthusiasm that made it clear how much this meant to her. I saw how her passion wasn't just about attending an event, but about immersing herself in a world she loved and dreamed of contributing to in the future. Even though I didn't fully grasp the significance of the exhibition, I knew that my support was important. Laura's excitement was palpable, and I could see how much she had been looking forward to this opportunity. The idea of her being disappointed or feeling unsupported was something I wanted to avoid at all costs. I reminded myself that this was an essential part of her personal and professional journey, and if attending the exhibition was a significant step for her, then it was worth my commitment to be involved. So, I decided to back her wholeheartedly. I agreed to accompany her to the exhibition, even though the thought of spending an entire day immersed in the world of home decor wasn't particularly appealing to me. I knew that my role in this was to be present, to show that I cared about her interests, and to be supportive in a way that mattered to her. Laura's happiness and excitement were worth stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I was determined to ensure that she felt my unwavering support. In the days leading up to the event, I could see how much it meant to Laura that I was willing to be there with her. It wasn't about sharing her passion, but about standing by her side and showing that I valued her dreams and aspirations. My agreement to attend the exhibition wasn't just a gesture of support, it was a testament to our relationship and my commitment to being there for her, no matter how different our interests might be. The exhibition hall was a bustling space filled with the hum of conversation and the rustle of fabric swatches. As Laura and I walked through the various displays, it was clear that this event was everything she had hoped for. Her eyes darted from one booth to another, absorbing the rich array of designs and ideas, but it was when we approached one particular exhibit that I noticed a significant change in her demeanor. Laura's attention was drawn to a booth that showcased the work of a designer named Alex. The moment we arrived, I could see her reaction, a mix of awe and excitement. Alex's work was unique, blending classic elegance with modern innovation. His designs were not just visually appealing but seemed to tell a story, a quality that resonated deeply with Laura. Alex himself was a charismatic figure, exuding a natural confidence that matched the sophistication of his designs. He greeted Laura warmly, and their conversation started almost immediately. Laura's enthusiasm was palpable as she spoke with him, her face lighting up with every new detail she learned about his work. I stood to the side, observing their interaction with a mixture of curiosity and patience. They delved into a detailed discussion about design concepts, color schemes, and the intricacies of home decor. Alex spoke with an engaging passion about his design philosophy, explaining how he combined different elements to create spaces that were not just beautiful, but functional and reflective of the people who lived in them. Laura listened intently, occasionally interjecting with her thoughts and questions. It was evident that Alex's approach to design resonated with her on a deep level. The conversation flowed effortlessly, with Laura fascinated by Alex's insights and ideas. They discussed everything from the latest trends in interior design to the challenges of balancing aesthetics with practicality. Laura's eyes sparkled as Alex shared stories of his experiences and his vision for future projects. It was clear that she found his perspective not only enlightening but inspiring. As the conversation continued, I noticed Laura becoming more animated and engaged. Alex's charm and expertise seemed to ignite a new spark in her, one that was both exhilarating and focused. Their discussion went beyond the surface, delving into the core of what makes a space truly remarkable. It was a moment of connection that I could see meant a great deal to Laura, affirming her passion for home decor and reinforcing her dreams of one day creating her showcase. While I remained an observer, it was clear that this encounter with Alex was a significant highlight for Laura. His influence on her was evident, and as we left the exhibit, I could see that her mind was buzzing with new ideas and possibilities. It was an interaction that ignited her creative spirit and deepened her appreciation for the art of design, and I was glad to have been part of this pivotal moment in her journey. In the weeks following the exhibition, it became increasingly evident that Laura and Alex had formed a connection that went beyond a mere professional relationship. What began as an engaging conversation at the design showcase quickly evolved into a series of frequent interactions, and I couldn't help but notice the growing frequency of Laura's discussions about Alex. Laura's admiration for Alex's work was apparent in her every conversation about him. She would speak of their discussions with an unmistakable enthusiasm. It was as if Alex's insights had unlocked a new level of creativity within her. She began to share his ideas and concepts with me, often excitedly explaining how his perspectives aligned with her ambitions. The way she spoke about him was filled with a sense of wonder and appreciation for his expertise. Alex, for his part, seemed genuinely interested in Laura's passion for design. Their exchanges, which initially were limited to emails and phone calls, soon turned into regular meetings. Laura would often talk about how Alex encouraged her to explore new ideas and pushed her to think outside the box. His support was more than just professional. It was personal and enthusiastic. He listened to her ideas, offered constructive feedback, and shared his own experiences in a way that felt both motivating and validating. Their relationship developed a rhythm of its own. Laura would often come home from these meetings with a new sense of purpose, her eyes shining with excitement. She spoke about how Alex's encouragement made her feel more confident in her abilities. It was clear that he had become a mentor of sorts, someone who provided not only guidance but also a reaffirmation of her dreams. As time went on, their interactions seemed to extend beyond the confines of a professional mentorship. Laura would often mention how Alex had shown interest in her future projects and aspirations. They discussed potential collaborations, and Alex even offered to help Laura with her design ideas, suggesting ways to enhance her portfolio and reach a broader audience. This support was both a boost to her confidence and a testament to the growing rapport between them. While I had initially been supportive of Laura's fascination with Alex, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of unease as their relationship deepened. I observed how their conversations became more frequent and how Laura seemed increasingly excited by Alex's presence in her life. The connection they shared was undeniable, and it was evident that Alex played a significant role in nurturing Laura's creative ambitions. Despite my reservations, I tried to remain supportive. I understood how important Alex's influence was in helping Laura pursue her dreams, but I couldn't ignore the subtle changes in her demeanor and the increased time she spent with him. The growing bond between Laura and Alex was something I had to navigate carefully, balancing my support for her ambitions with the need to ensure that our relationship remained strong. As time went on, I began to notice subtle changes in Laura's schedule that piqued my curiosity. What initially seemed like innocent late nights at work or spontaneous weekend getaways gradually started to form a pattern. Laura would often mention that she needed to stay late at the office to work on design ideas, or that she was going away for a weekend to visit a new design exhibit or conference. Each time, she would assure me that these trips were necessary for her professional development and creative inspiration. Laura's explanations seemed plausible at first. She was deeply immersed in her design projects, and I understood that opportunities to learn and grow were crucial for her ambitions. However, as the frequency of these late nights and weekend absences increased, I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. The nature of her outings, often coinciding with moments when Alex was also available, began to raise questions in my mind. Laura would come home from these extended absences with renewed energy and a wealth of new ideas, which she eagerly shared with me. While I was happy to see her so inspired and passionate about her work, there was an underlying tension that I couldn't ignore. She seemed more focused on the details of her interactions with Alex, often mentioning how productive their sessions were or how beneficial their discussions had been. One evening, after a particularly long day, I found myself alone with my thoughts. I reflected on the times Laura had stayed late at work or gone on weekend trips. It dawned on me that while her explanations were always framed around her career and passion for design, there was a growing frequency of these absences that seemed too coincidental. My mind raced with possibilities, and I began to wonder if there was more to her outings than she was letting on. In an attempt to understand what was happening, I started paying closer attention to the details of Laura's schedule. I noticed that many of her late nights at the office and weekend trips seemed to align with moments when Alex was also mentioned. Laura would sometimes come back with new items or inspirations that were tied to their recent discussions, further fueling my suspicions. Despite my growing concerns, I chose to approach the situation with caution. I didn't want to confront Laura without evidence or jump to conclusions based on my fears. Instead, I decided to monitor the situation discreetly, hoping that the truth would reveal itself in time. The delicate balance between supporting her ambitions and addressing my uncertainties became increasingly challenging. As I navigated this uneasy terrain, I struggled to reconcile the image of a supportive husband with the growing apprehension about the nature of Laura's hidden meetings with Alex. In the weeks following my observations of Laura's increasing absences, a shift in her behavior became more apparent. It was subtle at first, but it gradually evolved into something that couldn't be ignored. Laura began to change her appearance in ways that struck me as unusual. She started wearing brighter, more fashionable outfits, opting for styles and colors that were a departure from her usual wardrobe. It was clear that she was investing more time and effort into her appearance, and while I tried to be supportive, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Laura's new look was complemented by a dramatic change in her hairstyle. She opted for a more modern and edgy cut, which seemed to further signal her desire for transformation. Her new appearance was undoubtedly striking, and she carried it with a confidence that was both captivating and perplexing. I couldn't deny that she looked great, but the changes seemed to coincide with the increased frequency of her absences and the growing distance between us. As her appearance transformed, so did her demeanor. Laura became noticeably more secretive about her daily activities. Where she once shared her thoughts and plans with me openly, she now kept many details to herself. She would come home with a distant look, often lost in thought, and would brush off my questions about her day with vague responses. The openness that had once characterized our conversations was replaced by a guarded silence. The contrast between Laura's vibrant new look and her withdrawn behavior was striking. I found myself grappling with conflicting emotions. On one hand, I was proud of her for embracing her individuality and pursuing her passions. On the other hand, I felt increasingly isolated from her world. Her change in appearance and behavior, coupled with the unexplained absences, created a growing sense of tension and uncertainty in our relationship. I tried to address my concerns with Laura, but she would often deflect the conversation or become defensive. Her reluctance to discuss her changes and her increasingly evasive responses only fueled my apprehension. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a deeper reason behind her new look and her sudden shift in behavior. Despite my attempts to remain supportive and patient, the distance between us continued to widen. The changes in Laura's appearance and her newfound secrecy were clear indicators that something significant was happening in her life, something that she was not willing to share with me. As I struggled to make sense of the situation, I felt a growing sense of frustration and confusion. The woman I knew and loved seemed to be slipping further away, and I was left grappling with the unsettling feeling that I was no longer a central part of her life. One evening, as I was helping Laura tidy up her things, I stumbled upon something that would alter my understanding of our situation entirely. While looking for a pen to write a note, I reached into Laura's handbag and found an envelope tucked away in a hidden compartment. It was a simple white envelope with no distinguishing marks. Curious, I opened it and discovered a card inside. The card was elegantly designed, with a minimalistic aesthetic that spoke of sophistication and style. As I read the handwritten message inside, my heart sank. It was a note from Alex, written in a tone that was both intimate and personal. The message was an invitation to a private event, a design showcase that was described as an exclusive gathering for a select few. Alex's words were warm and inviting, with a clear implication that he hoped Laura would attend and share in this special occasion. The discovery of the card hit me with a wave of disbelief and growing suspicion. The nature of the invitation, coupled with the affectionate tone of Alex's note, suggested a level of familiarity that went beyond professional courtesy. It was evident that Alex and Laura had developed a relationship that was more than just mentor and protege. The card seemed to hint at a personal connection, one that I hadn't been aware of until now. The more I reflected on the card, the more the pieces of the puzzle started to fit together. Laura's recent changes in behavior and appearance, her frequent absences, and her increasing secrecy, all of these elements suddenly took on a new, more troubling light. The invitation from Alex was a clear indication that their relationship had grown into something more significant and intimate. My mind raced as I tried to process the implications of this discovery. The image of Laura and Alex at a private event, sharing moments away from the public eye, was troubling. It seemed that their relationship had evolved into a more personal and possibly romantic connection. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and confusion as I grappled with the reality that Laura might be involved in an affair. Determined to confront the situation, I knew I needed more than just this single piece of evidence. I had to understand the full extent of what was happening between Laura and Alex. The card was a clear sign of something more, but I needed to gather more information to fully comprehend the nature of their relationship and address it appropriately. As I placed the card back into the envelope and carefully returned it to Laura's handbag, I felt a heavy weight on my shoulders. The trust I had in my marriage was now in question, and the road ahead seemed uncertain. The discovery had opened a new chapter in our relationship, one that was fraught with tension and the need for clarity. The evening after discovering the card from Alex, I knew I couldn't avoid the confrontation any longer. The weight of the card and the implications it held were too heavy to bear. Laura had just returned from one of her late-night meetings, and I decided it was time to address the issue head-on. My heart pounded with a mixture of anxiety and determination as I prepared to confront her about my suspicions. I waited for Laura to settle in, her usual cheerful demeanor replaced by a tired look. As she flopped onto the couch, I took a deep breath and decided to approach the topic with a calm but firm tone. "Laura, we need to talk," I began, trying to steady my voice. Laura looked up, her eyes widening slightly. "What's wrong?" she asked, her tone hinting at concern. "I found something in your bag yesterday," I said, pulling out the envelope with Alex's card. I placed it on the coffee table between us. "This invitation from Alex, it doesn't seem like a typical professional gesture. I need to know what's going on between you two." Laura's expression shifted from curiosity to discomfort as she glanced at the card. Her face flushed, and she shifted uneasily in her seat. "James, it's not what you think," she started, her voice trembling slightly. "Alex is a mentor, and this invitation was for a design event. It's all professional." I tried to keep my emotions in check, but the frustration was evident in my voice. "Laura, don't lie to me. This card is personal. There's more to your relationship with Alex than you've let on. I need you to be honest with me." For a moment, Laura remained silent, her eyes downcast. The silence between us felt heavy and oppressive. I could see her wrestling with her thoughts, and then, finally, she looked up with a resigned expression. "All right, James," she said quietly. "I'll tell you the truth." Her admission hit me like a punch to the gut. "Alex and I," she began, her voice faltering. "It started as a professional relationship, But it grew into something more. We started spending a lot of time together and feelings developed. It's become a romantic involvement. Laura's confession was both painful and surreal. The image of her and Alex, a couple who had once seemed like mere colleagues, now stood starkly as something deeply personal and intimate. I could hear the sadness in her voice as she continued, "I didn't plan for this to happen. It just evolved. I didn't mean for it to hurt you, but it did." I was overwhelmed with a torrent of emotions: betrayal, sadness, anger, and confusion. Laura's words seemed to confirm my worst fears and shattered the illusion of the stable life we had built together. "So, this is why you've been so distant and secretive," I said, trying to piece together the recent changes. "You've been hiding this relationship from me while pursuing something with Alex." Laura nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "I'm sorry, James. I never wanted to hurt you. I was so focused on my ambitions and feelings that I didn't think about the consequences. It was wrong, and I regret it deeply." As I processed Laura's confession, I felt a profound sense of loss. The trust and stability we once shared seemed irreparably damaged. The emotional weight of her revelation was almost too much to bear, and I struggled to find the right words to express the depth of my hurt and disillusionment. In the silence that followed, I knew our relationship had reached a critical juncture. Laura's admission had opened a new chapter in our lives, one fraught with difficult decisions and the need for honest reflection. The path forward was uncertain, and the future of our marriage hung in the balance. As the weight of Laura's confession settled in the room, the atmosphere grew heavy with unspoken emotions. The sense of betrayal and confusion that I felt was palpable, but it was Laura's next words that truly shattered any remaining illusions I had about our life together. Laura sat across from me, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, and took a deep, shuddering breath before speaking. "James, there's more I need to tell you," she said, her voice trembling. "The truth is, my relationship with Alex has become more than just a romantic entanglement. It has fundamentally changed how I see my life and my future." I stared at her, my heart sinking further as the implications of her words began to sink in. "What are you saying, Laura?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. Laura's gaze dropped to the floor, her hands wringing together nervously. "I've realized that my feelings for Alex have grown to a point where they overshadow everything else in my life. My passion for home decor, which once felt so important to me, now seems secondary to what I have with him. I never expected it to be this way, but it's true." The revelation was like a cold shock. My mind raced through our past conversations and moments together, trying to reconcile this new, painful reality with the life I thought we shared. "So you're saying that your relationship with Alex is now more significant to you than your ambitions or our life together?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Laura nodded slowly, her face etched with a mixture of regret and resolve. "Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Alex and I have talked about our future together. We've been planning to build a life that's separate from everything we've known. He's become more than just a part of my professional world. He's become central to my world, too." I felt as if the ground beneath me had given way. The life I had envisioned with Laura was crumbling before my eyes. Her admission that Alex was now a primary focus in her life was more than just a blow. It was a fundamental breach of everything I had believed to be true about our relationship. "And what about us, Laura? What does this mean for our marriage?" Laura's eyes filled with tears as she looked at me. "James, I never wanted to hurt you, but I can't deny what I feel. Alex and I have talked about our future in a way that involves a complete break from the life I've shared with you. It's not fair to keep you in this limbo while I pursue something else. I need to be honest about where my heart truly lies." Her words were a painful confirmation of my deepest fears. The life we had built together, the dreams we had shared, and the stability we once enjoyed were being cast aside for a future with someone else. The illusions of a harmonious marriage and shared ambitions were shattered, replaced by the stark reality of her new path with Alex. As Laura's confession lingered in the air, I was left grappling with the devastating impact of her choices. The future I had imagined was slipping away, and the painful truth of her shifting priorities left me to confront the reality of our fractured relationship. The journey ahead was uncertain, marked by the need to come to terms with this new reality and decide how to move forward from the ruins of our once stable life. The weight of Laura's revelations felt like a crushing burden on my chest. As I sat there, processing the enormity of what she had just shared, I was overwhelmed by a torrent of emotions that seemed to rise and fall with an intensity I had never experienced before. Anger was the first emotion to surge through me. It was a fiery, consuming anger that made my fists clench and my heart pound. How could Laura have been so selfish, so indifferent to the life we had built together? The very foundation of our relationship had been shaken by her decisions, and the betrayal I felt was like a sharp, relentless ache. I thought of all the sacrifices we had made, the plans we had shared, and how they were now tainted by her infidelity. The anger was almost tangible, a raging storm inside me that demanded to be expressed. But alongside the anger, there was a profound sense of betrayal. The trust that had once been the cornerstone of our relationship had been obliterated. I had believed in the solidity of our marriage, in the promises we had made to each other. Now that trust was in ruins, shattered by the revelation that Laura had prioritized her relationship with Alex over everything we had. The realization that she had been deceitful about her feelings, that her actions had been driven by a need for something outside of our shared life, was a deep, penetrating wound. I felt as though the very essence of our bond had been undermined, leaving me to grapple with the raw, painful reality of her disloyalty. Alongside these emotions, a deep sadness began to settle in. It was a heavy, melancholic sorrow that seemed to seep into every corner of my being. The future I had envisioned with Laura, the dreams and plans that we had crafted together, was now a distant memory, replaced by the cold reality of her new path with Alex. The life we had built, the home we had made, the shared experiences and joyful moments seemed to unravel before my eyes. This sadness was profound, a deep ache for the loss of something that had once been a central part of my existence. The sense of loss was overwhelming. I mourned not just the betrayal and the end of our marriage, but the loss of the future we had planned. The dreams of growing old together, the small victories and daily routines, all seemed like cruel illusions now. The life we had shared, the joy and the struggles, felt like they had been lived under pretenses, and I was left to mourn the end of an era. Amid these emotions, there was also a gnawing confusion. I found myself questioning everything I thought I knew about Laura and our relationship. How had I missed the signs? What had led to this point? The confusion was like a fog that obscured my ability to think clearly, leaving me struggling to make sense of the sudden upheaval in my life. As I sat there, grappling with these complex emotions, I knew that the road ahead would be difficult. The trust between us was broken, the future uncertain, and the pain was a constant companion. I was left to navigate the aftermath of Laura's choices, trying to piece together the fragments of my shattered reality and come to terms with the profound changes in my life. In the wake of Laura's admission, we were left in a state of suspended reality, caught between the wreckage of our relationship and the uncertain horizon of our future. We sat across from each other in the living room, the space that had once been a symbol of our shared life, now feeling like a battleground for our emotional conflict. The weight of the decision that lay before us was almost too much to bear. Laura, her eyes red and swollen from crying, tried to articulate her feelings as best as she could. "James, I know I've hurt you deeply," she began, her voice choked with emotion. "I can see now how my actions have destroyed the trust we had. I'm so sorry for the pain I've caused. I never intended for things to spiral out of control like this." Her words were laden with regret, but the sincerity of her remorse was clouded by the complex nature of her feelings for Alex. I listened intently, trying to process her apology and gauge its authenticity. Laura spoke of her remorse, her struggle with guilt, and her recognition of the damage done to our marriage. Yet despite her expressions of regret, there was an unmistakable undercurrent of unresolved feelings towards Alex. She was honest about her continued affection for him, a truth that stung more deeply than her apology. "I still have feelings for Alex," Laura admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't deny that what we have is real and significant to me." Her confession was a heavy blow. The acknowledgement of her lingering attachment to Alex made it painfully clear that our marriage was facing an insurmountable obstacle. Laura's conflicted emotions left me grappling with my thoughts on whether our relationship had a chance at recovery or if it was beyond repair. I was torn between the desire to salvage what remained of our life together and the need to acknowledge the harsh reality of our situation. As we discussed our options, the conversation inevitably turned to the future. Laura proposed the possibility of couples therapy, hoping that professional help might offer a path to reconciliation. Maybe with therapy we can work through this, she suggested, her voice tinged with hope. I want to try to rebuild what we've lost if you're willing. Her offer was genuine, but the question remained whether the emotional damage could be repaired through counseling. I weighed her suggestion against the backdrop of my feelings. The thought of undergoing therapy was daunting, particularly given the depth of my betrayal. Could we truly rebuild the trust that had been shattered? Could the emotional scars left by Laura's affair with Alex ever be healed? My mind was filled with conflicting thoughts. Part of me wanted to fight for our marriage, to find a way to move past the hurt and rebuild our life together. Another part of me questioned whether the foundation of our relationship was now too fragile to be restored. The decision before me was monumental: to stay or to leave, to try to mend what had been broken, or to accept the end of our marriage as a new beginning. Each option came with its own set of challenges and emotional burdens. I needed to consider not just my well-being, but also what was best for Laura and the future of our relationship. As I faced this crossroads, the path forward seemed unclear. The choice between attempting to repair our marriage or moving on was a decision fraught with emotional complexity. I knew that whatever decision I made would have profound implications for our lives and our future. As we continued to discuss our options, the gravity of the situation pressed heavily on my shoulders, leaving me to ponder the most painful and difficult decision of my life. In the aftermath of Laura's infidelity, I have come to a place of reflection and resolution. The pain and betrayal have transformed my perspective on our relationship and my own life. I've realized that while the future remains uncertain, I must prioritize my well-being and the stability of my emotional health. The trust that was once the bedrock of our marriage has been irrevocably damaged, and despite Laura's attempts at reconciliation, the damage inflicted by her affair with Alex cannot be easily undone. I've come to understand that moving forward means embracing change, even if it means accepting the end of a chapter that once held so much promise. As I look to the future, I am committed to focusing on rebuilding my own life and finding a path that aligns with my own needs and values. This experience has taught me the importance of self-respect and the need to confront difficult truths with honesty. The lessons learned from this painful chapter will guide me as I seek new beginnings, allowing me to forge a future that is built on a foundation of authenticity and personal growth. The journey ahead will be challenging, but I am determined to move forward with resilience and hope.